Film 150 has been an intriguing and interesting class this semester, to say the least. Nothing too crazy has happened, but it has been filled with assignments, discussions, and service learning that have made me study my own cultural identity. This semester, service learning has been both a fun and interesting experience. At first, I was nervous and was not too happy about going to volunteer for 10 hours. I grew up in a fairly small town with a large amount of white people. As far as I can remember, I do not recall ever going to school with more than a few Hispanic kids. I was never very close with them, so I did not know anything about them. When I found out I was volunteering at a bilingual school in the heart of Milwaukee's Hispanic community, I was not too excited. As the semester went on, I became quite close with a boy named Javier, who shared a lot of the same interests as me, and it made me feel a lot more comfortable when going to visit again. I believe the one thing service learning did was challenging my own identity and my community. Moving to Milwaukee was a big change for me, especially having classes and conversing with so many different people. However, I never really left the UWM area. Traveling to View every Thursday led me through neighborhoods I never thought I would be in, especially the Hispanic community. I had no idea of all the different neighborhoods in Milwaukee until this semester, and it really changed my perception as it is a wide mix of cultures all over the city. I have even visited the neighborhood outside of service learning to have dinner with my parents at Botana's, a Mexican cuisine restaurant located right behind View Elementary. The trip to Botana's was very interesting in itself. Like I said before, I was born in a fairly small town. My mother and I have always enjoyed eating out at Mexican restaurants, but my dad does not like it as much. He likes the food, he just does not like to shy away from his American man figure that only speaks English. A few times we went out in the past, we've had servers that sometimes do not even speak English, which is very difficult to work with. This reminded me of our reading on internalized discrimination. With the way my dad grew up, he created a sense of discrimination towards people that do not speak English. Botanas, on the other hand, was very different. The servers we had spoke perfect English, and it was overall an excellent experience in Mexican culture and cuisine, in which my dad was impressed. This also made me think that perhaps I adopted that quality from my dad when I started service learning. I did not want to go because of the language barrier. But like I said before, creating a close relationship with the children, it allowed me to extend my own identity to sharing in other cultures and languages. One of my favorite parts of service learning has just been visiting and getting to know the Hispanic community, whether it is helping the kids at View or eating at a restaurant. When driving around that part of town, it is amazing to see the different buildings and art. It is located next to the famous Allen Bradley Clock Tower, which brings in many visitors as it is. That is one of the reasons I think it is cool that the Hispanic community is right there, because it brings in people from all over. When we were at Botana's, there was a huge line waiting to get in. I talked to a few people waiting next to us in line, and they were from all over Milwaukee, as well as a few out-of-towners. I was surprised to hear that because the neighborhood itself is quite segregated. However, it is certainly seen that the community is extending its arms as more and more people are sharing the culture it has to offer. When driving, there's painted art and murals on many of the buildings. It doesn't even seem like you are in Milwaukee, as it truly is a sight to see all the buildings. It reminds me of our discussion on the Harlem Renaissance, as this community seems to be a flowering of Hispanic art, literature, and culture that is not appreciated unless you visit it yourself. Another thing I first thought about the community was that it was not a very good neighborhood. I had never been there before, but through hearing stories, a stereotype was certainly created and influential on me until I actually experienced it myself. Our discussion on stereotypes and whiteness taught me that they are mostly created through the media. Whether it is news or video, stories are mostly told from a white man's perspective, which most people tend to follow and listen to. This is a shame because this community truly is a little piece of Mexico, and experiencing it has extended my own identity to share in a new and different culture. Overall, looking back at my experience of Film 150, it has allowed me to look at myself and study my own cultural identity through our assignments, lectures, and service learning. Each of these things have not drastically changed my life, but over the course of this semester, it has certainly taught me a lot, as well as discovering a new community. I never thought, with the upbringing I had and first couple years at UWM, that I would be anywhere near the Hispanic community. but I have had nothing short of great experiences there and might possibly continue my volunteering into